for more on this. You actually wrote an op-ed about this not too long ago, saying that it makes perfect sense. Now, they say Greenland's not for sale, but sometimes things aren't for sale until they are for sale. And when you look at Trump, I mean, this is a guy who bought Mar-a-Lago for $7 million. He knows how to cut a deal.
And look, President Trump he's in the best traditions of Abraham Lincoln, who was talking about purchasing Greenland in the 1860s, the best tradition of Ronald Reagan, who warned 50 years ago that giving up the Panama Canal was foolishness, was dangerous to our national security. President Trump is 100% right. Greenland has strategic value to the United States, both minerals and strategic for our national security and our defense. And giving up the Panama Canal in the 1970s was one of the most foolhardy strategic decisions in the history of this country. President Reagan was right that it was a mistake. President Trump is right that it was a mistake. And President Trump's probably the first leader since Ronald Reagan.
According to some reports, back in 2019, Trump was offering to trade Puerto Rico for it. Give the Danes a little nice tropical island. I don't think anybody would actually go for that.
Well, there are a lot of things you can do to create an environment where we can take over the defense of Greenland. We can take over a significant part of the national security obligations that Denmark currently has for Greenland. The Greenlanders have said publicly they're going to get independence at some point. So the question is, when they get independence, are the Chinese and the Russians going to be there to greet them and to do things that certainly are not in the sovereign interests of the Greenlandic people? Or is it going to be the United States who's there to make sure that both our security and the sovereignty of the Greenlanders themselves are protected? And I would much rather have Donald Trump waiting for the Greenlanders when they get independence than Xi Jinping.
I mean, it really is a gorgeous place, albeit cold. I also wanted to ask you about Trump and the Panama Canal, because he seems to be in a little bit of an online feud with the president, José Raúl Mulino. José Raúl Mulino said of Trump saying that he would take back ownership of the canal, said, quote, "As president, I want to express precisely that every square meter of the Panama Canal and its adjacent area belong to Panama and will continue to be. The sovereignty and independence of our country are non-negotiable," to which, as Jackie pointed out, Trump posted a picture of the bow of a ship transiting the canal with an American flag on it saying, "Welcome to the United States Canal." I mean, obviously, this is just leverage to try to lower fees. Is there any way Trump could take it back?
Well, I think we should have a serious discussion about the failure of the United States under the Carter administration to give up one of our most significant strategic points in the world. It was one of the greatest American engineering and strategic achievements of the 20th century. Let's have a conversation about what has happened in the last 10, 15 years, where China is now dominating the Panama Canal and threatening our interests in the Western Hemisphere. I think President Trump is in a great position to talk seriously about what it would look like for the United States to enter into some sort of negotiation with Panama to have a future stake, a more comprehensive American stake in something we built with American blood, sweat, and tears under Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, and then there's the trolling of Justin Trudeau, which this president continues to do mercilessly. Here's what he said on Wednesday on Truth Social. "No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over $100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians," as a person who was born in Canada and emigrated to the United States back in 1989, became a U.S. citizen a week after 9/11. For Canadians, it would save them 30% going to Disney World if they were using American dollars instead of Canadian dollars.
Well, in addition to that, John, it'd be nice if the Canadians would spend more than 1.3% of their GDP on defense and actually start contributing to protecting North America. So, in addition to Disney World, it'd be great if we could get some help from them defending our shared border and defending the Arctic.
Well, I don't think Trudeau's going to be there much longer. I think that Trump's going to be dealing with a fellow named Pierre Poilievre, who he may find more on his side in terms of a lot of these thorny issues between the two nations. Alex, great to see you. Wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, John. Same to you.
To White House unexpected agenda. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Martha. President-elect Trump, campaigned on bringing down prices and securing the border, and he has a number of executive orders planned to that end for his first day in office.
We will begin the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The DEA, the FBI, the intelligence community, and financial sanctions to remove the migrant gangs and criminals that are killing and raping and maiming our citizens. We're going to get them out.
Trump is also planning executive orders to reduce energy prices through permitting reforms, and he wants to extend the 2017 tax cuts, some of which are expiring next year. Last week, Democrats foiled efforts to fast-track that plan. Congress will have to battle it out in next year's budget reconciliation package instead. But this weekend, Trump outlined a new area that he wants to save America money: fees to use the Panama Canal, which the U.S. built in the 1900s and then transferred to Panamanian control under President Jimmy Carter. Trump ordered Panama to, quote, treat us fairly or the U.S. would take it back, to which Panama's president replied, every square meter of the Panama Canal and its adjacent area belongs to Panama and will continue to be. The sovereignty and independence of our country is not negotiable. Trump responded, we will see about that, plus an image of an American flag planted in the canal.
I think we should have a serious discussion about the failure of the United States under the Carter administration to give up one of our most significant strategic points in the world. It was one of the greatest American engineering and strategic achievements of the 20th century. China is now dominating the Panama Canal and threatening our interests in the Western Hemisphere.
Trump also re-upped interest in buying Greenland from Denmark, to which Denmark said Greenland is not for sale. Martha.
Jackie, thank you.
I was amazed when the president's speaking a lot when he was on the campaign trail. What do you do? And it drives people crazy, but they just say, new audience, I got to give the same message every single time. And sometimes you carry the message and you go, wow, it's the same speech. Since the president won, he's putting new things into all his remarks, whether it's the Patriot Awards or what we saw yesterday in front of Charlie Kirk's group.
Yeah. I think part of it is like when you're running for office, you want to be very consistent and tell people this is what I'm going to do. Now he's won. It's not like he's making some giant crazy turn here. He's just starting to maybe put some meat on the bones of what the agenda is going to be now that he's got the power soon of governance.
Let's watch a little bit from what he said yesterday. Watch this.
So we got the highest vote ever for a Republican candidate. We won by 36 points with young people. That never happens. A Republican loses by 36 or 40. So I'm going to have to start thinking about TikTok. We did go on TikTok, and we had a great response with billions of views, billions and billions of views. They brought me a chart, and it was a record, and it was so beautiful to see. And as I looked at it, I said, maybe we got to keep this sucker around a little while, you know. On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign a historic slate of executive orders to close our border to illegal aliens and stop the invasion of our country. And on that same day, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history, and we will create the new Department of Government Efficiency headed by Elon Musk. And no, he's not taking the presidency. I like having smart people. You know, they're on a new kick. Russia, 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 Ukraine, 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 all the different hoaxes. And the new one is, President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, that's not happening. But Elon's done an amazing job. Isn't it nice to have smart people that we can rely on? But no, he's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe. You know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country. Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal? Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else. When President Jimmy Carter foolishly gave it away for $1. During his term in office, it was solely for Panama to manage and not for China or any other country to manage. It was given to Panama and to the people of Panama, but it has provisions. You got to treat us fairly, and they haven't treated us fairly. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question.
So those are some of the things I was talking about. So he's talking about an Iron Dome for the country. I want Greenland from Denmark. And by the way, I want the Panama Canal. So I asked the brain room about the Panama Canal. They say there's no proof that China owns any portion of it. We use 72% of all traffic is American. And the prices did go up 15%, nearly $5 billion over the last year. But they say it's because of low water levels, and they have to slow down the amount of traffic that goes through. But you know what? Rattle their cage, make them justify it, and let's see if we can get those prices down. After all, we are a frequent customer.
I do think part of this, though, is national security. You think of Greenland, for example. The Arctic is a major, I think, battle area for the future in terms of who controls the Arctic. And I think the same applies to the Panama Canal. China may not control it, but they, my understanding is, have some very strategic interests in that area. So part of this, I think, is Trump starting a negotiation with, we want the whole thing back. And then the Panamanians might say, well, hang on, no, but let's have this conversation. Trump just announced yesterday his ambassador to Denmark, which owns Greenland. Can you imagine having that job now, or being the ambassador to Panama? You're going to have a busy opening few weeks here.
I think it's one of the PayPal mafia. It's Ken Howry.